can try and win championships, and that's what it's all about. When you look from the outside and you watch this team, I know we're going to have a real good, solid hockey team this year.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Rangers. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, joined with my co-host with the wet hair, Eric Wilson. He's back from Puerto Rico. He's sitting in his basement in Sayville, Long Island. Eric, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing good. It's a shame that this is 2 episodes in a row. I have wet hair because I forgot we were supposed to do this, and I took a shower. But I'm back. It's good to be back. Had a great trip. I hope he's gonna have a great New Year's this weekend. So let's get into it.
Yes, sir. Well, at least we know you're not stinky. That is a good thing. You're not stinking on the podcast today. But the Rangers, a little stinky last night with a loss in overtime. At least they got a point out of it, but they did end up losing in overtime to Tampa, 2-1 defeat. And we're here to recap that. It was a stellar goalie showdown. We are very familiar with this matchup. It's becoming basically a new rivalry. Igor Shesterkin taking on Tampa Bay once again, a little rivalry between the goalies. Of course, a repeat of the Eastern Conference Finals last year. And this might not be the last time that these two teams face off. So you never know if they make their way into the postseason once again and have another goalie matchup. But last night, great goalie matchup, 2-1. And of course, the Rangers losing in penalty shootouts. Eric, what is your main takeaway from that game? I know probably one of them is Igor Shesterkin is a beast. He was phenomenal last night, as he always is. But other than Igor Shesterkin putting together a great performance, what's your main takeaway from the Rangers' loss?
I mean, obviously, like you said, the biggest takeaway is the goaltending. You have two of the best goalies in the world going up against each other. So obviously it's not going to be like a high scoring game right there. But I guess another more subtle takeaway to look at is the Rangers power play. During last night's game, the Rangers went 0-for-3 on the power play, didn't score a single goal there. But on those 3 power plays that they had, they were really dominating the control. They had tired Lightning defensemen stuck in their zone for an extended period of time, and it looked like it was pretty much inevitable that the Rangers were going to score, but our offensive power just wasn't enough to break through Vasilevsky and put it in the back of the net. So 1 goal from Zibanejad proved to not be enough, went into overtime, went into the shootouts, which one of those power plays we didn't score on was in overtime. So it was a 4-on-3 power play, which is you kind of got to score on that one right there. But then goes to the shootout, a really long shootout, 7 rounds, and Igor did the best he could. He looked phenomenal as ever, but Vasilevsky just stuck in it a little longer, and the Rangers unfortunately caught the loss.
Yes, quite unfortunate indeed. Of course, Artemi Panarin being the only one, I believe, right? Artemi Panarin was the only one that scored in the shootout. Not what you want to see. Mika Zibanejad with the 1 goal of the game for the Rangers. No assists on it. He went ahead and freestyled it, as Eric and I like to say. He just put the puck in the net with nobody's assistance. And yeah, Igor Shesterkin, though, tremendous performance, a .975 save percentage, 1 goal against him, 39 total saves. The guy is just like Spider-Man out there, the way his reflexes. It's like he's got a sixth sense. He's got Igor sense, Spidey sense, whatever you want to call it. But Eric, it was a good defensive matchup between Tampa and New York last night. But what do you see from the offense? Where does something need to change for them? Of course, only 1 goal scored by Mika Zibanejad. The Rangers have been better in their point scoring recently, but, last night only getting 1 on the board. What do they need to change? What do they need to do to start getting some more points on the board?
I don't even really know if it's something that we need to change just based off of this one game, because overall, pretty much everyone that was out there looks pretty good. I know Gauthier, who we just discussed recently, had 1 or 2 breakaways. I know definitely one. Hedl had some really good chances as well, a couple one-timers, and Panarin is finally shooting the puck more, he's kind of stopped trying to force these fancy passes that just aren't going to work, and he's just started ripping the puck. And the Rangers just keep hitting posts. We got robbed by Vasilevsky. So I don't really see any problems from the offense that came out of last night's game. I think we had the right idea, and had we been playing against any other team besides the Lightning, I think we would have scored close to 5 or 6 goals, because, even putting up 2 or 3 on Vasilevsky is a huge accomplishment. So 1 is just a pretty good game. And I think we played really well overall offensively and defensively too, only holding a really offensive star powered team like the Lightning to 1 goal going into the shootout as well. So just overall, every single player played really well. And just even, we complained about him last episode. Sammy Blais also looked really good, didn't contribute that much on offense, but Sammy Blais was out there injuring players left and right. And, he's getting a little scrappy right there. So it was kind of nice to see. Obviously, unfortunately, Lafreniere was the healthy scratch, which we'll get into a little bit later on in this episode. But overall, we looked pretty good.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to segue to the second topic of the episode. And I had a really good one lined up before you said that. I was going to say, you said a lot of players played really good last night. Sammy played good. I was going to say, well, you know what, Eric? You know who didn't play good? Alexis Lafreniere, because he didn't play. Healthy scratch last night. A surprise. We didn't see that one coming. Lafreniere just not able to put it together this season. In 2022 to 23 season, he's played in 36 games. 5 goals, 12 assists, only 17 points, plus 3 goal differential when he's on the ice, though. But not the best season from him. This is not exactly what we expected. I think we had much higher expectations for Alexis Lafreniere than what he's managed to produce so far this season. And here's a quote from Coach Gallant that I think really fits in with the conversation. Quote, consistency is the word I mentioned yesterday. He wants to be better. We want him to be better. Just be more consistent in your game. End quote. And I think that's actually the best way to describe what's going on with Alexis Lafreniere right now. He's been very inconsistent. When he is on the ice, at times he looks good. He looks like who we want him to be. Other times he kind of disappears. And I think that's been the main thing, especially early on in the season, Eric. I remember when we were watching some games at the house, we were talking about, some players just kept disappearing. Like they would be on the ice and they would be making an impact 1 to 2 games in a row, and then they'd go 3 games without even hearing their name called. It was just unbelievable that they would disappear. And I think the number one player who's had that problem the most is probably Alexis Lafreniere. A lack of consistency and a lot of disappearing acts. He's turned into Houdini when we really don't want him turning into Houdini right now. We want him present on the ice. But Eric, what are your thoughts on this healthy scratching of Alexis Lafreniere, and what do you make of it?
See, I don't really make too much of it at this moment. I think it's kind of just like what we've seen in the past with guys like Kakko and Hedel, where their play isn't exactly where we want it to be. They get scratched for a game or two, just kind of be like a little knock on the head and be like, hey, buddy, like get your head back in the game. Like your position on this team isn't guaranteed. You still got to work for it. And, just really just knock some sense into him. Like pretty much like what we saw with Kakko at the end of the Eastern Conference Finals last year, which unfortunately ended up being the last game of the season. But I really wouldn't think too much of it. I hear people coming in saying like the Rangers are going to try to trade him. They're going to move Lafreniere at the deadline, which I'm not going to say is out of the picture. It's definitely a possibility. I did see a couple of teams have called inquiring about Lafreniere, but the Rangers were like, if we were going to get rid of him, we would need like a really good draft pick and like a first rounder, or just like an already like NHL level developed player. So I don't think it's going to happen. I think we should just really just take it as it is, just a 1-game scratch. And even though the Rangers don't play until like the 1st on Sunday against Florida, like I'm sure we'll see Lafreniere in there at that game. That this was just a one-time thing to just knock some sense into him. But as for the scratching itself, I don't really know if I fully agree with it. Throughout his 36 games, 5 goals, 12 assists, 17 points. It's not great, but it's not horrible either. He's pretty much putting up a point every other game, which for a guy who's been playing on like the second and third line throughout most of his career, that's not horrible. And it's a little frustrating because the decisions from our coaching staff and the organization, and just hearing like the rest of the league just make fun of the Rangers for not being able to properly develop their prospects. It's frustrating because you got a guy like Lafreniere who is supposed to come into the league and instantly be a game changer, improve the team. And yeah, he's been a little slow to break out and get like developed into the NHL properly. But if you keep him down on the bottom 6, that's already one problem, that he's not going to get better. And then now you start scratching him like every couple of games because he's not playing as good. It's like, how is he supposed to have that consistency and be better, like Gallant said, if he's not on the lineup? So if this is a 1-game thing and he's going to come back and just be a consistently playing forward for the rest of the season, then yeah, hopefully this will work out. But if it's going to be one of those things where it's like Gauthier and Sammy Blais, where they just keep getting pulled in and out of the lineup, then I might just lose faith in the Rangers organization right there. So that's my take on it.
Oh, you're so wishy-washy, flip-flopping all the time, always threatening to take your faith away with the New York Rangers organization. Yeah. But you know what I'll say, Eric, and this is a good thing. Every time you seem to say that, I'm losing hope, season's in the trash can, we look terrible, they somehow just prove you wrong every single time. Maybe you are the good luck charm, your negativity.
I'm okay with being wrong if it means that the Rangers are successful.
Hey, man. Listen, we can have you just be the bad take man on this podcast. You just give all the bad takes and you get disproven every single time, and it means that the Rangers win.
All right,
that's
well,
how
you
you
know
want
what?
it to be.
If that's how it's going to work, then I'll put it like this. A couple episodes ago, we talked about how going into like the New Year's break, the Christmas break, the teams that are in playoff positions, like 80-something% of the time, make the playoffs. Well, you know what? It's tomorrow's Christmas. Tomorrow's New Year's Eve, and the Rangers are not in a playoff spot right now, so it's not looking good. So if I'm the good luck charm, get back in a playoff spot, please.
Please get back into the playoff spot. Yeah, not looking good for the Rangers right now. But listen, they've been playing better in recent weeks. I mean, they've definitely stepped it up over the last month, I'd say, compared to where they were. I think December was a much better month for them than November was, is basically how I'd put it. I think there's a lot of struggles in the month of November. So I think that, as we look ahead to this new year, and we wish all listeners and viewers of this channel a very happy and healthy new year. But as we look ahead to this new year and you kind of start to realize that trade deadline, we're going to keep hearing conversations about it. It looms large, but it is in March 3rd. There is quite a while before the deadline comes up. You've still got 2 full months here of hockey before the trade deadline. But I do think a point that you made is very interesting about Alexis Lafreniere is the fact that maybe he is on the trade block. Maybe he was a healthy scratch because teams are calling for him. We know the teams are calling for him. There is some interest in Alexis Lafreniere. So I guess we'll see what happens because he's got basically another 2 months or another month and a half to prove himself and prove that he belongs in the lines and doesn't deserve to be a healthy scratch, or else he might have to get a new opportunity to prove himself elsewhere, right? So I think that's going to be really interesting. We'll see how Alexis Lafreniere plays here over the next month or two, but I believe he'll be back in the lines on Sunday versus Florida. However, if he's not, then we'll have to open this up to a much larger conversation as to what's going on with Alexis Lafreniere. So, Eric, any last thoughts on Alexis Lafreniere, where the Rangers are at, and where the Rangers are at heading into the new year?
As for Lafreniere, I think he definitely deserves a spot in the lineup. I don't think we should be over exaggerating with all these like trade rumors and stuff. We kind of just got to wait and see what happens. I'm sure it'll be fine. He is a free agent coming up pretty soon, and I'm pretty sure, hopefully, we'll see him extend that contract with the Rangers. And as for the Rangers themselves, like we just said, the deadline's coming up in just a couple of months. The Rangers are currently not sitting in a playoff spot, but let's not panic just yet. We're literally just coming off a month where we had a 7-game win streak and we picked up points in all but 2 or 3 games. So the wins will start coming. We'll get back. We're still in the running to win the division too. The Metropolitan Division is the craziest division in hockey. 6 out of the 8 teams have a winning record or something crazy like that. So don't panic just yet. We're a little late into the season. The Rangers are good, and we just got to keep winning games.
Absolutely. That's exactly it. You just got to keep winning games. That's the name of the game, the name of the NHL. If you're not winning games, what are you doing? In fact,
you're the Islanders.
Losing games. Right. Then you would be the other New York team, the baby brothers to the Rangers,
even though they won
crappy Islanders.
We didn't.
Hey, you didn't have to mention that. You didn't have to bring that up.
It's always on my mind. It haunts me. It's a curse.
Yeah. You know what? I think that you're just the curse here. I think that you are bringing so much negativity to this channel right now. I need you to leave this negativity in 2022 and be reborn in 2023. New Year's resolution, make Eric Wilson happy, make Eric Wilson have positive and optimistic takes for the Rangers in the future. How about that?
I don't know if that's humanly possible. As someone who's watched this team since 2012, I've experienced a decade of heartbreak. It's not good.
Valid enough. Valid as it may be.
I still love
but
them,
anyways,
my boys.
Of course we do. Rangers till we die. But that pretty much wraps this one up. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this episode and comment your thoughts down below on last night's game. And of course, the Alexis Lafreniere healthy scratch. Curious to hear your opinions down below and have a nice conversation with you in the comment section. And like I said, leave a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, ring the bell so you don't miss a video. We'll catch you on the next one. Have a good one. Let's go Rangers and Happy New Year.
Let's go Rangers.
He shoots. Rangers!